What's good, back to a family? Today we have a special guest, Terry Harris. We are actually going to be covering wholesaling today. He's an expert at wholesaling. He's also an expert at many different avenues in real estate, and we're definitely going to have him on the show going forward. But today we're going to keep a focus on just wholesaling. He's 26 years old and just living off real estate. That's literally all of our dream, right? Back talk. So this is going to be fun. I'm excited for this one. And obviously, you guys see we don't have Newski. Man, prayers up for him. He had a family emergency. So, we're going to keep him in our prayers. He should be back next week, God willing. But let's get into it. So Terry, first of all, just introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah, so my name's Terry Harris. Growing up, all I knew was basketball, playing basketball. Went to college, played ball. First year out of college, I played in the NBA G League. And then while I was in the G League, G League season was 6 months. And I keep it real, my G League salary was $35,000. And, after those 6 months, every time when I was in the G League walking in, I just, in the back of my mind, I used to think like, all right, well, what am I going to do after this season? Like, how am I going to make money for the next 6 months out of the year? And little by little, I started stumbling on real estate, and was able to buy my first property. And then I soon stumbled on wholesaling, which was another stream of income for myself, and a way really when I didn't have too much capital, saved up in reserves. Wholesaling was a great way for me to one, create my own business, and two, learn the real estate game even better and make deals and make a good source of income. So that's kind of how my story goes. And, wholesaling has kind of changed my whole life and really my whole real estate perspective as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I got introduced to Terry out, like on the basketball tip. And then now I see this guy is like a master of real estate. And I love real estate. I've said it on the show, like it's my favorite asset class. I want to dive into real estate so heavy. And he's literally mastered every avenue, y'all. Like, y'all have to tap in. It's going to be a fun one. So first of all, for the rookies today, could you please explain wholesaling in general? Because we're using this term, but a lot of people don't even know what it is. So, like, explain wholesaling. It's like, say you pretend you were going to explain it to a kid. How would you explain wholesaling?
Really, bro, wholesaling is just the art of finding real estate deals. So it's really all comes down to like kind of you're just a middleman. So say you're Terrell, you're looking for properties in, let's just say, Delaware. And you tell me, hey, Terry, I need a property. I need something that's $200,000. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. I say, okay, I'm going to go find you that type of property. So I'm going to go and, there's many different ways for me to go find out these properties. I'm going to go off market to find these properties. And really, it's about me locking up a property, getting a property under contract. So let's just say I do find a 3-2 in Delaware that's about $175,000. So then I'll come to you, Tyrell, and be like, hey, Tyrell, I got a 3-2 for $200,000, the same property that you were looking for. And you're like, oh yeah, that's the property I want. So at the end of the day, you purchase the property for $200,000, the seller gets their $175,000, and then I'll get $25,000 as being the middleman and the coordinator of this whole transaction. So that's kind of like the little quick spiel of it. But going in depth of how you find sellers, buyers, and all that, it's kind of just really simple, and it just comes with the work that you do with wholesaling.
No, definitely. And that's an amazing way of putting it. To me, it sounds like you said, in the wholesaler, you're the middleman. Like that's an important concept for people to get. And so how do we even become the middleman? Like, let's go step by step, because that's how we do it in Rookie Mondays. We promise them we're going to go step by step with every topic across finance. So, all right, say it's me. I'm out here, I'm broke, I got no money. I'm like, yo, bro, I want to get into real estate. I can't afford a multifamily, especially in this market. So it's like, all right, wholesaling. I know Terry talked to me about wholesaling. So what's the first thing I got to do? The very first step?
So there's a lot of ways to do it. I think one of the best ways is called driving for dollars. I started doing this. I gave myself about 2-3 hours a day. Driving for dollars. So that means just driving through your local neighborhood and finding vacant, abandoned properties. In the beginning, what I used to do was I used to just see the vacant, abandoned property, screenshot it on the maps on my phone. I use a different tool now. Some people use Deal Machine. I use PropStream. So PropStream really it'll track every single street that I go down, and I can tag the house, and it'll just put it in a folder, a marketing folder. And then after I'm done, I'll take that list and I'll skip trace it through PropStream. So PropStream will give me a list of all those people, homeowners, the names, emails, and phone numbers. And really what I'm going to do, I'm going to stack this list. I'm going to get as many people as I can. So a code of rule of thumb, Brent Daniels says, if you can find 250 vacant properties in your area, there should be one deal out of that. So every day, my goal was to get 20 to 30 properties. And I was not stopping until I got 20 to 30 properties. So I put the whole list together, and I'm gonna give you a little story of how this is like my first time getting into wholesaling, and this is really what happened to me. So I put the whole list together. I started calling. Hi, this is Terry. Just wanted to see if you're willing to consider an offer on your property. And that's all you got to say. And keep in mind, guys, you don't need the money to put up for these properties as well. You just want to lock up the property and find the end buyer. So
I want to make sure they heard that part, because that's extremely important. You don't need money to do this part at all.
Not at all.
Everybody can do this. Cool.
Just a full tank of gas. That's really it.
True.
Yeah, full tank of gas. So I start calling. So I get those 250 names and numbers down. So I got my list, and now it's time. Like, all right, now it's time to, go to the next step and reach out to these homeowners. And as you know, real estate, there's so much opportunity in homes that are vacant and, abandoned and need a little bit of TLC to bring them back to life. So I start calling these sellers up, and, of course, some people like, don't call me again, whatever, but you got to get that. Don't let that discourage you.
Some of them were mad when you called.
Oh yeah. But hey, you only need one though. You only need one person to really.
Right.
Exactly. So I had one person say, "Hey man, I heard it from my sister. She passed away. But why don't you come by and check it out?" So this is like, I'm like 2 weeks into wholesaling, like not really knowing what I got to do. I don't even know what to do, what to offer this guy. I'm not sure, but I'm like, look, I'm just going to go with it. Let me just see what's up. So I don't know what to offer, but I'm in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Let me offer like low 400s, and maybe I can find somebody for like 440 and then make like a 10K spread out of that. So I go to the house, I check it out. I walk in and out of it. And I print out a little purchase and sale agreement, because that's like the real estate wholesaling. You can find it easy, a wholesaling purchase and sale agreement online, or ask a local wholesaler, just to look professional and look like I had something ready to go for this guy.
And even on that point for a second, I was wondering too, like in situations like that, do you have to like dress a certain way, different present yourself a certain way? Like, how'd you go about even that step?
I kind of just normal. I think I put like just on a plain t-shirt, and that didn't look too crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have like a hoodie on, nothing, but just had some normal. I did try to be a little professional though. And you guys, whoever's the rookies, you guys don't think you have to put on a suit or a tie or anything like that. So,
Gotcha.
right. So so I go to his house and I walk around. I'm like, yeah, looks good. And I was like, would you do low 400s? And he said, my bottom line is 500. I was like, So I was like, and I just left it. I just said, forget it. I walked away from it, and that was it. So then, just like next week, I just started learning a little bit more and more about wholesaling. I find other wholesales in the area, and I call up one of these wholesales in the area just to ask him, pick his brain, and see, how he's been doing. And then I started telling him the deals that I came across, and I was like, hey man, this guy wanted to show me this property. He wanted 500. It was his bottom line number. And in the wholesale, he's looking at the property, and he's just like, bro, 500? I was like, yeah. I was like, too much, right? He goes, 500,000? I said, 500,000. He goes, Terry, get off the phone with me and go lock that deal up for $500,000. He said, I have a buyer for you tomorrow. I have a buyer for you the next hour.
No way.
I said, oh, okay, quick. So I was like, all right, bet. I get off the phone, and then I call the guy up, and this is about 2 weeks now from my visit in the house. I called the guy up. I was like, hey, this is Terry. I just came to the property a couple weeks ago. 500? I could do 500. And all he says to me is this, just sold it on the market with a realtor for $620,000.
Oh, nah.
And hung up. And I sat there, and I was just like, wow, like I could have easily found somebody. I could have locked it up for 500,000. and found somebody for at least 570 and made that big of a spread on my first deal.
Right.
So that kind of, that when that happened to me, I sat down. I was really, really disappointed. I was like, look, I can do two things right now. I can educate myself on wholesaling and try to duplicate this and make this happen on the regular and never mess up like this again. Or I can drop wholesaling and never do it again. So then after that, I went all in on wholesaling. I started paying for a little bit of softwares. I bought PropStream. I just bought PropStream, and I was like, every day I was driving for dollars and I was making calls. And finally one day came where, you know, we negotiated a price and I got a deal under contract for $245,000. And then I found a buyer for 245, and I found a buyer for 250. So I was able to make a 5K spread of that. But it was the first deal. So it was like a game changer. And it was like, one of the things that it triggered for me was like, wow, I could make money without working for somebody. And this was like a huge, like, it's just something that I've never done before, because the only way I've made money was either playing for another organization, or that was it, really, playing for another organization and waiting for a paycheck, you know, the 1st or the 15th of every month. So that was a game changer.
Yeah, bro. And if you think about it, it's like this time you actually made it happen. So think about it. You could put together a bunch of different deals and make money whenever you want versus, like you said, waiting for the 1st or 15th for a check. You know, so it's really your efforts. You can make as much money as you want to in wholesaling, depending on your efforts, you know. And so, like you said, you called multiple different houses, vacant houses, and then the more you call, the more deals you could put on the line for yourself. So that's fire. And like, I don't even know how you got back up from being down. Like, could you speak on that for a second? Because like you said, I think you went through a period where you're like, man, I could either quit wholesaling, or I could just learn more and get back on the field. And I feel like that probably came from your basketball experience, because I know you've always been one of the hardest workers I've ever seen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate that. But yeah, I was like, wow, I was right there. You know, it was like when you like have that feeling, and when you get into something new, it was like that moment triggered, oh, it works. Like, this is real. Like, I can really do this, and I can really make something out of this. So it was like, you know, and I wasn't even, my mindset was like, I wasn't really putting in that much work, really. Like, it was about 50% work. I was here and there dabbing in and out. So I'm like, man, what if I really, really get into this? What if I really start reading books about wholesaling? And if I really start, you know, really educating myself, communicating with other wholesalers, making more calls, spending more time driving for dollars, like, really, what could happen? And then 3 weeks later, I was able to lock up a new deal and then, you know, close after that. So that was kind of like, it was just a good awakening for me when I felt that, like, when I had that deal fall through.
Yeah. That's amazing, bro. And so, like, let's talk about even the contract. I know you mentioned you could find contracts online. So for my listeners out here because back to listeners, what we do is we take action, you know. So I know my listeners are going to get out there on the field and start wholesaling. So is it really that easy to where they could just type in like wholesaling contract and they could just, like, is it really that easy to get a contract?
You know what? For all the Bag Talk listeners, let's do this. I'm going to make sure Terrell, Newski, they got both of my purchase and sale agreement and the assignment contract. Now, mines have been looked over by lawyers, but anyone who gets it, every state's a little different. So make sure you guys, you know, look over these contracts, read them, look over them with your lawyers. But these are two contracts. You're going to have two contracts, and they got to be subscribed though, right? They got to be subscribed.
Got to be subscribed to both of us. I know, you know, Terry got a YouTube channel as well, y'all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I appreciate that, by the way. We really appreciate that heavy.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna make sure y'all got that, so everyone can use that, because that was one thing that was tough for me to have. But yeah, the contract though, really in the wholesale deal, you want two contracts, and that's the purchase and sale agreement and your assignment contract. So the purchase and sale agreement is going to be between you and the seller. So basically, if a seller, you know, the vacant property says he wants to sell his property to me for $100,000, basically it's going to be like a two-page, nothing crazy, a two-page purchase and sale agreement that states that me, Terry Harris, will buy this property for $100,000. Now, what I'll do is, once I got it locked up, that means nobody can go behind my back. So if I go to Tyrell and say, hey, Tyrell, I got this property for 130, Tyrell, you can't legally go to the seller and say, hey, I want to buy it for 100,000. They're under contract with me. So they're legally obligated to sell the property to me in those 30 days. So with that being said, once I got that locked up, then I go out and try to find my buyers. Now, if you have PropStream, you have buyers, and there's so much ways I utilize other wholesalers, ask them for their buyers. Sometimes I go to realtors, say, hey, do you guys have anyone looking for properties? Or I'll go on, there's Facebook chats and Facebook Marketplace. I always market them on those too. And, if the deal is good, finding the buyer will never be an issue. Now, a lot of people think, oh, is that the hard part? It's always been, for me, the easiest part of the transaction is finding the buyer. So as soon as I lock it up for $100,000, I'm going to go out and market. I'm going to send out text campaigns. I'm going to call up my buyers. I'm going to send out emails to my buyers list and say, hey, got this deal for $120,000. And then I'll write a little bit of a description about the property, give some photos if I have any, and, go from there. So when I get a deal locked up, somebody's going to want it for $120,000. And once they do, I'll go and let them know, like, hey, this property is currently held in escrow for $100,000. I will be assigning it to you for an additional $20,000. And in total, you'll be purchasing the property for the price that we'd agreed on, which was $120,000. And never ever had a investor say, oh, I don't like the spread you're making, or this is, never, because at the end of the day, like, everyone knows this real estate market is very, very, it's tough right now. And the supply is very low. It's tough to find good deals. So if an investor can find a good deal, he's more likely, he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. He's just going to, keep paying that and just get his good deal and try to keep that relationship with you. So
if anything, like you said, the market is so competitive. It's a seller's market right now, heavily. So I would think right now that investors are looking for wholesalers. Like, aren't they? Would you say that investors are not hungry for wholesalers right now because that's probably where they're getting majority of their deals, or not?
For sure. It's like deals that hit the market. Sometimes I'm an investor, right? I don't like going on the market specifically because, one, it's very inflated right now, and I don't want to compete with 7, 8 other retail buyers. If a wholesaler comes to me with a deal, it matches my numbers, it matches my criteria, I don't got to compete with anybody. Look, perfect. That's it.
Yeah.
And I've brought deals from wholesalers, so it's like I'm not opposed to it or anything.
And what's crazy is you could be a wholesaler, not a wholesaler for yourself, but I just mean in the sense that if you know how to find deals already, now once you have that skill, you can use it for yourself, become your own investor.
Exactly. And that's the best way to find deals. And like, it gets to now, when I was able to buy my second house here in California, I wholesaled about 3-4 deals. And then there was a deal that came across my table. I could have wholesaled it. And I was like, you know what? This is a good deal. I might as well take this one down myself. And that's like, now it's like a rule of thumb. One of my friends was telling me is to give yourself 5 wholesale deals. Wholesale 4, keep the 5th one for yourself. And like, now you're building wealth and you have this good active income coming in as well.
That's tough. I like that. And like, what about I was going to say, now let's start with challenges. It's always good to know challenges first. So as a wholesaler, what are some challenges that someone can expect?
I think the beginning challenge, I've challenged a couple of my friends to get into wholesaling, and they'll call about 100 people and say, yo, it's not working. That's not, you want to call 1,000 people, you want to call the thousands. Like it takes a lot of work. And I kind of compare it to like shooting in the gym. It's like if we go to the gym and we shoot 50 to 100 shots, like, oh, why am I still messing up? Yo, you got to keep doing this over and over and over and over again. Like, it takes weeks and weeks. So it's like, you can't expect 2-3 days, not even a week, 2 weeks of just consistent calling. Like, you got to really put like a good 30 to 45 days of consistency into this. And I think if anyone is really consistent with it, they're going to get deals. I don't care who you are. If you call 1,000 people between today and I'd say in 21 days, 1,000 people, I think you'll get a deal. You'll have something locked up. But no one does that because calling 1,000 people is the tough part.
Yeah, it's that work. You know, people want the rewards, they want the instant gratification, but you got to work. It's not just, you know, solely real estate. This is a life principle. You know, like I said, I know you got that through your basketball experience. You know, you have to put that work in to get where you got in the basketball game. That's why you're willing to do it in the real estate game. It becomes easy. It's a character trait. And so, you know, back to a family listening out there, make sure that y'all building that character because it translates across all assets of life.
I lost you real fast.
You know. Yeah. Are you frozen? Can you see? Can you hear me? Oh wow.
There we go. I think I hear you.
Yeah, I think we good now, right?
Yeah, it sounds good now.
Perfect. Yeah. So all right. So we talked about that would be the biggest challenge, like you said, like finding sellers, and I know you might have mentioned like distressed sellers, right? Like is there a certain type of I know we have to find distressed sellers in wholesaling. Like, how do you go about that, though? How do you know who's distressed and who's not?
So sometimes it's just the numbers game. It's like, you know, that's the reason why we're not calling 100 people, but we're calling 1,000 people. And really, I think if you call 1,000 people, you know, you'll probably get around, I would say, if you call 1,000 people, probably get 100 people who want to sell. And now those 100 people want to sell. I think about 10 to 15 are like, you know, in a situation where they need money fast. They need quick money. And then, you know, and a lot of times some people think, oh, you're just lowballing people. But, you know, typically not necessarily, because at the end of the day, it's like when you put your house on the market, you know, you gotta, you know, it takes on average around 45 to 60 days to really close and get liquid funds. A lot of people just need quick money. And then on top of that, when they go off market, they're not paying realtor fees, so that they're going to save themselves 6%. And then they're also not paying closing costs. So they're going to save themselves another about 8%. So with that being said, I like to tell people, like, you'll net more with me than going on the market and waiting those, you know, 45, 60 days to get your property closed. And then anybody can, you know, ask for a seller credit of like $25,000 and just for renovations and repairs in the property. You know, anything that they find out in their inspection, they can ask for that to be fixed. A lot of times these sellers, they don't want to do anything. So I make sure when I buy my properties, they're as is. We're paying all closing costs and no real estate realtor fees are involved. So that's just that's just makes it a win-win for both buyer and seller.
Yeah, no, that is a gem what you said. Like, that is a gem. I love that you said that, because you're actually kind of selling the fact that wholesaling is better for these people that want to get their property off their hands. Like, going through a wholesaler might even be better for them because, like you said, it saves them money on closing costs and other fees. That's a gem. That's something that you should do in your pitch when you're talking to them, I would say, right? That's amazing. Yeah, I like that. And so now, as far as wholesaling goes, we covered the step by steps. And now, so what was your biggest wholesaling story? Like, what was your best wholesale deal you would say that you want to speak on?
Honestly, I like the ones that I keep for myself, but I love because I like the ones that I keep for myself. But there was one time, I believe it was a house deal, and this one was crazy, and it was I had locked this property up for $260,000, and there was a tenant, and the owner said, "Look, you get her out, it's yours for 260." And he's like, it was just a bad relationship. Stepdaughter. He says, I don't speak to her. I don't want to speak to her. I'm just I gotta evict her sometime. This has been a hassle. He goes, if you can help me get her out, then we can make something happen. So I remember the first time I went there, she's like, no, you can't come in the house. So I was just like, oh, this is crazy. And then keep in mind, I already had a buyer ready at 285. So,
Yeah, so you already knew you were going to be profitable. You knew it already.
But the only thing is I had to either like come, I had to like just be, I really was just, he wasn't talking to her, she wasn't talking to him. I just had to be the person to communicate for both of them. So what ended up happening was, I went there. I was like, I had to soak in all my pride and just was like, hey, look, I'm about to buy this property, your stepfather, he does want to evict you. I don't know the relationship that you guys have, but I want to figure out what's best for you. I don't want to just have, at the end of the day, when California allows evictions, for you to be evicted, and I see that you have a family here. So I was like, how much are you really willing to take to move in the next month? And at first, she was a little really hasty about it. But she told me, hey, $15,000 would be reasonable for me to move out. So I told the father, I was like, look, she's not going to move out until she gets 15,000. And I was just like, I mean, I can't pay for this, but I would advise you to take it out of the escrow and we'll cut her a check for $15,000. And, this puts her in a good position to find a new home, to relocate with her family and have a little bit of surplus of income. And, at the end of the day, I heard that she hadn't paid rent in like the last 2 years. So it just gives her a good position to get on her feet and be stable. And then it gives the father a position to liquidate his property. He was behind on mortgage payments because he wasn't receiving rent. And it was just a win. It was honestly a win-win. And then on top of that, he was saving on realtor fees and closing costs as well. So the day of closing, we were able to do a cash for keys agreement and give her those $15,000, which came out to $260,000 for the father. And then my investor was able to get this property for $285,000, and then I was able to cut a check of $25,000 for that deal. And it was a headache. It was a hassle. Sometimes I didn't think that deal was going to go through, but hey, when it did, I was just I was happy. I was excited for that one.
Of course, because that's a lot of money. That in-between money is a lot of money. And all you have to do is kind of like low-key a little bit of babysitting, like if you think about it, but that's the beauty of wholesaling, like that's why I'm so glad that we're talking about this, because our listeners can really use this. I love the fact that for wholesalers, you don't need any credentials. You don't have to go get a real estate license. You don't have to have a bunch of money to start. You can start virtually for free at this point. It just takes effort. So man, I think you did a marvelous job explaining wholesaling. And I know there's so much we could talk about as far as real estate goes. And that's why for my listeners, we're going to have Terry back on the show, because he could cover pretty much every avenue of real estate. Like every time I'm looking at Terry's page, he's doing something new in real estate. We're talking from developing to being an investor himself, to just like, I can't keep up. It's motivational for me and Newski as well. So for sure, bro. And I know you do consultations, right? So if you want to speak on that briefly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do offer consultations. If anyone's, looking to do an hour call, kind of can get your systems and software set up so you're able to go out and wholesale in your market. It is a little bit, takes a little bit of time to get you set up. And there's a couple systems in place that I use. So, in the beginning, when I was just dialing, I was able to do one deal a month. But now I'm at a pace where, with the systems and softwares that I have, where I'm able to do about, 2, 3, 4 deals a month. So I think the scaling is definitely another pace that you can get into with the wholesale and real estate as well. But yeah, so I do those consultations as well. You can find it on my Instagram page. And if you guys have any simple basic questions, just feel free to shoot them to me on IG as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and can you leave them your IG? Like, you want to say it out loud? We're going to have it in the description, but for even my podcast listeners too, you want to say it?
Yeah, definitely. IG is Terry Harris 15, and then the YouTube page is Tcash. And there is a couple videos on there on like how to get started with wholesaling and kind of to get your feet in the door as well.
Yeah, I've learned off the YouTube page as well. So I want every back to listener to go follow, subscribe rather to his YouTube at Tcash. Please, everybody, it's a lot of gems there. So just any last words? Like we like to say, leave our listeners with some bag talk. So any last words to close up with some bag talk you could give them in like a minute?
I just say, man, if y'all looking to wholesale, man, there's no reason why you shouldn't have a goal of really setting yourself up for a six-figure business. So the work really just depends on you. And I promise you, anybody can do this. It's not rocket science. It's honestly just a little bit of work. I know people who've done it will balance it with their 9-to-5 and then have their wholesaling business take over their 9-to-5. And yeah, so honestly, it's just the work. And I think it's the best way to get yourself into the real estate game, because now you're learning deals, you're learning how investors are buying, and you're learning your market really well. I consider it like a free, like a high-paying internship, really. So, yeah. So
that's a great way.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it, man. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your time. And for everybody, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we drop 2 videos a week. Make sure that you subscribe to T Cash. Follow Terry on Instagram at Terry Harris 15. And yo, appreciate you one more time, bro. And that's all we have, everybody. Most definitely, man. Everybody take care. Peace.